It is time for politicians to take heed of the King's repeated advice to stop excessive politicking, as this will hamper the nation's bid to combat the COVID-19 pandemic, which shows no signs of slowing down. According to constitutional expert Professor Dr. Shamrahayu Abdul Aziz, the fact that Al-Sultan Abdullah Riyatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah had to issue advice on the matter more than once in recent times was testimony of politicians not taking it seriously. The ruler's intention is for politicians to be more aware of not only what they say, but also what they do, especially when it does not help with efforts to fight the pandemic.
This is the third time that His Majesty reminded the politicians to focus on fighting COVID-19 rather than discussing on matters which will be detrimental to the program set by the government to fight COVID.
For political analyst, Associate Professor Dr. Hamidin Abdul Hamid, the King has to say it more than once so that politicians deal with COVID-19 and the economy instead of dragging the nation into political turmoil, thus could harm the economy by causing instability.
It is obvious that the call is very much on time, and being the responsible of Yang di-Pertuan Agong to remind the politician that they must heed his call and forgetting about politicking all the time and think the interests of the people beyond political parties and fractions or any coalition in that regard.
The King stresses that the 2021 budget scheduled to be tabled in Parliament is very crucial to the people in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic and to restore the country's economy. For the Yang di-Pertuan Agong, there is no need for any MPs to continue with any irresponsible action that could undermine the stability of the current administration.
So it is obvious that when the same advice is repeated, or when the same decree, the content of decree have been issued, this is an indication that whatever had been said by the King or His Majesty was not taken seriously by many of the politicians. And therefore, probably is our hope as the people of this nation that whatever had been advised by the Majesty should be followed by everyone, especially the politicians.
And this simply means to prioritize the COVID-19 pandemic first. And to the King's rejection of the Prime Minister's recommendation to invoke the emergency rule, Professor Dr. Shamrahayu said that although it is a convention, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong is not compelled to act on the advice of the Prime Minister. The King can decide otherwise after analysing and considering seriously any request from the government.
So it is also important to give a special attention that constitutional monarchy is not, as always, acting on advice, but the monarchy must make sure that the advice is something which is acceptable by the King. At the moment, I believe the monarchy system has worked well. The democracy system has to be adjusted to the situation, and the development of the constitutional monarchy has to come back to the meaning or to the real intended monarchical system in Malaysia. It is also written in the constitution about some discretionary powers of the monarchy.
Despite the political concerns, the King had exhibited confidence in the government's ability to address the COVID-19 crisis.